Good evening. Another week goes by, and I find myself looking at the calendar, and it's like the middle of March already, or at least it will be when this video goes public. Also realized that the middle of March is like St. Patrick's Day kind of season. So I think I missed the Robert Burns Day celebration and did something like a Japanese whiskey, if I recall, or did I do a bourbon on Burns Night? Something silly like that. But this time I'm not going to ignore the whole thing. This week I will put up 4 videos, including this one. Each one will be about an Irish whiskey. The first of which is this. I've been wanting to get this for a while since I first heard about it. It is the Jameson Caskmates Irish Whiskey IPA, that's India Pale Ale Edition. So basically what they did was they aged or finished Jameson's whiskey in, well, here it says, even on the label, it says, finished in craft beer barrels, and in French, fini en fût de bière artisanale, product of Ireland. So yeah, IPA, cask finish. So yeah, I wanted to try this for a while. I could get the stout finish for quite a while, and then I heard about this one, but it wasn't available until I got it last year. I think I got it when I first saw it. This was on the 27th of May, 2019. So that's the first time I saw it in the shop, because I was going to get it as soon as I first saw it. So I first saw it last year, which was maybe a couple of years after it first came out. The price was $38.99 plus a 10-cent bottle deposit, so $13.909, $39.09. Oh, it's all on one bill, so this is easy. $1.95 for goods and services tax, $3.90 for provincial liquor tax, $44.94 out the door. There you go. So I paid $45 in cash, and I got 5 cents back, because we don't have pennies anymore. Okay, here we are. Jameson IPA. Cheap metallic twist off lid, like a lot of Irish whiskey. Here I have a glass, a Glencairn glass that was given to me in London last year by none other than Jason Whiskey Wise. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, Jason Whiskey Wise. He has been scarce on YouTube, but that's because he found himself a job in the industry, which is fantastic. Kudos to Jason Whiskey Wise. Well, here we go. Jameson Caskmates IPA. I'm going to have to cleanse my palate because I've been drinking this gin and tonic to cool down after getting all my stuff home and carrying it all to the second floor. Ooh, gin and tonic goes good. Got some water too. And this time, I did not forget to bring a spoon. However, I probably won't be needing a spoon for this Jameson IPA. Yeah, I told you how much it cost already and when I got it and all that. Oh, all right. That's all terrific. Let's see what we get. I get apples. Apples that are very ripe. I'm also getting a bitterness on the nose. Some caramel. Cinnamon toasty Apple Jacks. Onions. Where did that come from? I don't know. Maybe that has to do with the IPA. with the bitterness from the hops. I smell onions. Maybe that has to do with the Hendrick's gin that was in the gin and tonic that I just had. I don't know. But to me it smells a bit like onions. Once again, some fruits. Light orchard fruits. Very ripe apples. Apples that have been sliced and they're already turning brown. Not in a bad way. Some pears. Some wood tannins. Bit of caramel. That overpowering onion bitterness. Weird. Cleanse my palate again before I take a first sip. Oh, look. It's got droplets. It's got droplets. And they're not rushing right down, which is interesting, considering that this stuff is bottled at 40% alcohol by volume, which Jameson usually is. And there's the international symbol for getting pregnant. And a barcode. There's a barcode right there. And what else? Does it say anything else on here? Oh, let's see. Before I take a sip. We've been distilling Jameson since 1780. But we're always open to new ideas. So when a local craft brewer borrowed our casks to age their signature IPA, the barrels returned soaked with crisp, hoppy notes that weren't there before. We then refilled these casks with our finest Jameson Irish whiskey, and Jameson Caskmates IPA edition was born, bringing a light citrus flavor and pleasant hoppy aroma to our triple distilled Irish whiskey. Hoppy aroma. And I get onions. Yeah, it's a bit like hops. Sort of verdant and a little bitter at the same time. I'm still having trouble getting the taste of gin out of my mouth. Sometimes I wish I had some oat cakes. That should have done it. Yeah, it is a bit hoppy like beer. A little bitter, a little green, herbaceous, shall we say. And taste. Interesting. The first sip gives me quite a bit of kind of a bitterness. But it reminds me of onions again. I don't know why, but it just does. Maybe the second sip will be a little less contaminated. Get some more water to wash that. Okay. Okay. There's a bitterness and the taste of French onion soup coating my mouth all over and covering that ripe, turning brown apple. Not in a bad way. And just that the bitterness coats my mouth all on the sides, around the bottom, around the top, all over the tongue. And it leaves a long bitter, not overly bitter, but bitter French onion soup kind of flavor on my mouth. Oh, that must have been the gin and tonic talking. Some of that IPA, that hop influence, makes it a little bit spicy. So it's a little bitter, a little spicy, a little bit tastes like French onion soup, and the taste fades. It holds on for a little while. It fades slowly and fades to the point where it's quite dry feeling. Dry all over the mouth now. Instead of being coated, it's dry. It's like a warm desert wind blew right through my mouth, and that's what I got. Dryness. Do that again. On the nose again. On apples turning brown. Onion soup. Bitterness, but not overpowering bitterness. It's also got that herbal note to it. And it wasn't my downstairs neighbor's smoking pot this time. I usually get the downstairs neighbor's smoking pot when I'm out on the balcony. We're not supposed to smoke on these premises at all, but I think that guy's been living here so long that it was before there was no smoking on the property. So if you've been living here that long, you're grandfathered in, so he can smoke whatever he wants. He can smoke a cigar, he can smoke cigarettes, he can smoke weed, whatever. And since weed's legal in Canada now, what's going to stop him? And who's going to complain? I don't mind a little smell of weed when I go out the door, but I don't smoke it myself. I never did when it was, well, I tried it when it was illegal. And all it did was make me feel paranoid and out of control. So I choose my poisons the way I choose my poisons. I like this poison. The IPA is a little bit, I'm not a fan of IPA. When I used to drink beer, I drank predominantly lagers, sometimes ales, but mostly lagers. It's very smooth, fruity lagers. If I recall, that was bottom fermenting yeast rather than top fermenting yeast, which would be the yeast that would be for ale. Was it ale that was top fermenting and bottom fermenting was the lager yeast? It's a long time since I made beer in my kitchen when I was a student. We're talking about 1985. So 35 years ago, that's when I used to brew beer in my kitchen. I used to love drinking beer, and drinking beer was my thing until I found out that I'm diabetic. And then I had to make a slow transition, switch to whiskey that didn't have the carbohydrates that would cause my blood to be full of sugar. So whiskey doesn't have the carbohydrates in it, so what I drink doesn't turn to sugar, and I feel good. I feel good anyway with the amount of alcohol. Yeah. It's got that hoppy herbal smell. It's bitter, and how can I describe it? No, it's not like marijuana. Now let's just say bitter and herbal at the same time. Good enough. Yeah, the overall effect of the IPA, of the hoppiness, blends quite well with the fruity Jameson base. It's all right. It's a little weird at first, but then you get used to it, and it becomes a nice drink. And that bitterness just kind of hangs on and hangs on and hangs on. I wonder how this is going to influence the next Irish whiskey I'm going to taste. We'll find out. This is very interesting. Slanchava.
Foodquig.
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 Yeah.